Moving on onto a sample data loader. So here we have a data loader, which with the same functions that we had mentioned above. And we have an exercise here where you have to specify your inputs and your targets, and you can instantiate them into an object, dataset class, and it should have kind of this example that we see down here. And when you want to iterate through this in a data loader, you can go through each iteration, feeding in the dataset here into the data loader class. In a number of cases, you may want to handle the data on the fly so that because of memory efficiency. So in our case here, instead of specifying the data in the init function, you're going to specify it in the get item, where here you'll specify your path, and then you'll be able to get your image in the get item, a single image at a time. And in the get item as well, you're able to transform your data. In CNNs, as you'll cover in your homework too, you'll be able to resize the image, to color your image, to mask out some of the elements in your image. So these are some of the functions that you can do on the fly, so that you don't have to work in batches. So here, you can handle different batching strategies, like using a batch size of 4 so that you load 4 training examples at once. You can shuffle so that at each time you load the data, you don't have to have the same number of training examples. And as I had said, so that you can have an equal number of training examples in a batch, you can drop the last batch sample. All right.
A batch sampler in PyTorch actually allows us to control how batches of data are created from the dataset. While default sampling strategies like sequential or random sampling work for many cases, some scenarios require actually much more control, like dealing with sequences of varying lengths or implementing strategies like stratified sampling for unbalanced data, something like that. So in order to create a custom data set of numbers classified as odd or even is what we've used to demonstrate. So each number has a label 1 for odd and 0 for even. We then have implemented like a custom batch sampler which groups indices based on their class and creates a balanced batches by sampling evenly from these classes. So as you can see that the iter method yields batches by sampling indices proportionally from each class, and the len method ensures we can determine the number of batches per epoch. So as we can out here go through how the dataset class in the init function, we've defined batch size, labels, class indices, number of batches. Then we have defined how we want to get those classes of indices. Then we iterate through the entire batch, and finally we return the length of the number of batches. This is something like how we can use a batch sampling for like a custom dataset class if you want to make. Then we've made a custom collate function. Now, while the dataset class helps define individual data points, sometimes you want to define the entire batch. So the collate function focuses on processing the entire batch. If you want to say apply transformations to the entire batch rather than individual samples, or we want to leverage multi-processing data loading techniques, we use the collate function. Now, in our instance, we've normalized the inputs within each batch in the collate function, which is something that you guys are expected to do in your assignments while dealing with MFCC dataset types. So this collate function ensures we have clean, well-prepared batches ready for the model. In practice, this can also include tasks like padding sequences or normalizing inputs dynamically for each batch. Now, finally, single and multi-process loading. See, efficiency is critical for handling large data sets. By default, PyTorch data loader uses the main process for loading data. However, as datasets grow in size and complexity, this approach may become like a bottleneck. Here's when multi-process loading steps actually work. So the num underscore worker argument specifies the number of sub-processes for data loading that is needed. For instance, if number of workers is equal to 0, data loading happens in the main process. If number of workers is equal to 2, then two sub-processes are handled. The two sub-processes handle data loading in parallel, accelerating the pipeline. If it's 4, it further increases the efficiency and so on and so forth. So finding the optimal number of data loaders is very important. Or finding the number of workers is very important. We start with a small number and finally gradually increase it till we hit like a warning or something like that. Finally, we go to the pin memory for fast data transfer. This another optimization technique which is enabled pinning memory when working with GPUs. Now, if we set this to true, the data loader pre-copies the tensors into a CUDA pinned memory. This reduces overheads and speeds up data transfer between CPU and GPU. This is particularly useful when you're training models on GPUs and you're looking to maximize the throughput of your data pipeline. Finally, an efficient data pipeline is essential for model training. By customizing like the batch sampler, leveraging the collate function, using multi-process data loading, you can significantly improve training efficiency and handle even the most challenging datasets effectively. Thank you very much.